Hey, what up, guys? Doing another What's Next. This is on undefeated former featherweight champion Oscar Valdez. He's currently my number 4 super featherweight in the world right now. That's 130 pounds. We already know, he last fought at the end of November when he became the mandatory challenger. He ended up facing replacement opponent Adam Lopez and he was supposed to face veteran Andres Gutierrez in a WBC final eliminator. He ended up facing, as I said, Adam Lopez instead. He actually got knocked down in that fight, but he came back and knocked out Lopez in the 7th round. It was his debut at 130, so he's still the world champion. So, I mean, he's still undefeated. We already know what he's doing next. He has a mandatory shot against Miguel Berchelt next for the WBC title. Berchelt is currently my number 1 super featherweight in the world right now, so definitely a big fight for Valdez, the one he's been waiting for a few years now, and the biggest of his career by far. I mean, prior to this, I'd say his fight with Scott Quigg was probably the biggest of his career. That was in 2018. Now he has the opportunity to take it to the top of the division because Berchelt has established himself as the man at 130 over the last 3 years since he won the belt in January of 2017. So big time fight right here. Now, personally, I think Valdez is going to get his ass whipped. That's just me throwing it out there. I think Miguel Berchelt's going to beat down Oscar Valdez and stop him in the late rounds. But I do believe Valdez has a puncher's chance. He's a brawler. He likes to fight. I just think he's doesn't have the size advantage. And Berchelt, I think, is also a better boxer than Valdez, and he hits harder. So, unless Valdez is carrying up some unexpected power, maybe at 126 he was zapping some power. I don't know if he's going to be able to hang with Berchelt. I'm going out on a limb saying he's not, and I think he's going to get beat. But I do believe he has a puncher's chance. He's a live underdog, and if he pulls off the upset, he's going to be the WBC champion. So let's run him through the top 10 and see what's next for Oscar Valdez if he wins the WBC title and beats Miguel Berchelt. Well, we start with number 1, Miguel Berchelt. Could these guys fight again after this first fight? Absolutely. They're both with top rank, and it's a mandatory defense. So the next defense, whoever becomes champion, would be optional. If the fight's close, absolutely. I think more so in Berchelt's favor if it's close and he wins. I think more so a rematch will be possible then, but also, if Valdez were to win, it could be possible. It also depends on if Berchelt's getting an automatic rematch clause in a contract if he were to lose. Those kind of things, I'm not sure about how the deal is being worked out. But, I think the two sides, if the fight's close and it's a good war, I absolutely think these two guys could lock horns again. Number 2 is Joseph Diaz, the IBF champion. Not seeing it if Valdez wins or even if he loses a close decision and doesn't get a rematch. I'm not seeing it either way. Diaz has a mandatory rematch against Tevin Farmer due next, and then after that, if he were to win, he'd have a mandatory IBF mandatory title defense to make against undefeated Shavkat Rakhimov. So again, not seeing this one. Plus, it's Golden Boy working with Top Rank, and I just don't see the two sides coming together. But you never know. Okay, next at number 3 is Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, these guys both say each other's names in interviews and stuff, but it's Top Rank working with the PBC. Tough fight to make. I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I just don't see the two sides coming together, especially with Valdez having so many options at 130. But, you never know. I mean, because Top Rank really controls this division, but you never know. I mean, Santa Cruz is a big name. Maybe Bob Arum and the PBC can come together. You never know. Number 4 is Valdez. Number 5 is what would be a unification bout against WBA regular champion Rene Alvarado. I wouldn't completely rule it out, but Alvarado's a Golden Boy fighter. He's not a big name. His belt is a secondary belt, and I just think Valdez has bigger name options at one, in Top Rank that he could be facing. So I think Bob Arum would try to keep him in house. Number 5, well, that's actually Alvarado was number 5. Number 6 is veteran former world title challenger Mickey Roman. I wouldn't completely rule it out. He's worked with Top Rank before. He's a good, solid veteran. He actually fought Berchelt back in 2018 for the title and fought him hard. I wouldn't be surprised if Valdez, you know, fought him, but in an optional defense, would he want to reach back and face a veteran like Roman or face somebody bigger in his next fight? And I just see him fighting somebody bigger. So I'm not seeing it, but it definitely could happen. Number 7 is WBO champion Jamel Herring. If he pulls off the upset and Herring goes on to beat Carl Frampton in Ireland, yeah, I think this fight could be possible. I mean, why not? But is it a big enough matchup, and would Valdez want to risk against a good southpaw like Herring? Because I think Herring's going to have to bring his A game to beat Frampton over in Ireland. And he might be able to do it anyways, but if he dominates, he might be too good for Valdez to look at. And if he looks like crap because of his style, or because him and Frampton's style just don't mesh up well, is Valdez going to want to face a guy with that kind of style? I'm leaning towards the less likely, because there are other good options for Valdez at 130, you know, that can make better fights, that are more winnable fights. But I wouldn't completely rule it out, because it'd be a unification bout, and they're both guys are with top rank. Excuse me. Number 8 is former IBF champion Tevin Farmer. Even if Farmer were to become the IBF champion, I'm not seeing it. He has a mandatory rematch with Joseph Diaz due. Even if in the rematch he beats Diaz, I don't believe him and Valdez would happen. One's with Matchroom, one's with Top Rank, so I'm not seeing it from that standpoint. But the other is the Farmer's still going to have a WB or an IBF mandatory title defense due. If he beats Diaz, he's going to have to face Shavkat Rakhimov after that. So I'm not seeing that one. Number 9 is Andrew Cancio. Another fight that is possible, because Cancio fights with Cancio is with Top Rank and ESPN. So yeah, this fight definitely could happen between these two. You know, Cancio's not a huge name, but he's a former champ now, and he's got a decent name. And because these guys are both with Top Rank, I absolutely could see it, because, you know, Valdez might just be wanting to build his resume. The WBC is very lenient on mandatory title defenses now. So if Arum and them won the title and pushed hard enough, you know, they could probably get Valdez a couple optional defenses. And, you know, I think Andrew Cancio would be perfect for a first title defense for Valdez if they try to build him up into a bigger fight after that. So definitely think this fight's possible and could happen if Valdez upsets Burchell. And finally, at number 10 is Jono Carroll. Not seeing this one. Carroll fights for Matchroom. He's not a big name. Valdez, if he were to win, that'd be a huge win. He'd be at the top of the division, and I think Bob Arum would try to keep him in-house with Top Rank. They got other beatable options out there with Top Rank, so I don't think they'd cross the street for this one, so I'm not seeing it. Other options, you know, Shakur Stevenson's about to move up to 130. He is the WBO featherweight champ right now, and is looking to move up to 130 and become a champion and fight in big fights. These guys are both with Top Rank. Valdez ran away from him before. Could Bob Arum get him to run away from him again? I hope not. I think it's more likely that it would happen at 130 now. And if Valdez were to upset Burchell, his confidence would be through the roof. So maybe it could happen next with Stevenson. You don't know. Should be interesting to see how it all plays out. But that's what's next on Undefeated. Former featherweight champ Oscar Valdez. Look forward to his next fight, as it is almost for sure going to be challenging for the WBC title at 130 against reigning champion Miguel Burchell. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.